What's up, guys? It's Kendiel here, and today we're going to be talking about the difference between confidence versus arrogance. I believe confidence is sometimes mistaken for arrogance, but there's a fine line between the two, in spite the fact that they're actually polar opposite when you come to think about it. Like a magnet, think of it with a positive and a negative pole. Arrogance and confidence can be reviewed in that same respect, but what I will have very shortly is I have a quick 2-minute clip of what I'm talking about, where this is it's going to be a fun like basketball edition. So for those of you guys who are into sports, you'll really like this. Those of you who are not into sports, you'll also really like this because the information is priceless. So I'll tune into this video here. It's just a quick 2-minute video, and then I will go over the rest of the narration.
Is the better bunch.
I have a hard time picking against the Clippers.
Who do you think's going to win the West this year?
The Clippers?
Clippers over the Lakers.
Yeah.
Clippers or Lakers?
Clippers.
Why?
Clippers. I think their pieces fit together a little bit better.
Clippers, on the other hand, have a team that completely bought in last year with no superstars. You add two of the most selfless superstars in the game that go both ways. Obviously, Paul George's shoulder is going to be a big concern, but I think it's the Clippers' championship to lose this year.
The Clippers not only have the best defensive versatility in the league, yes, the Lakers have a height advantage, but the three-point shooting of the Clippers with Lou Will and Trez on the floor, the Clippers are the best team in basketball.
The Clippers, because of their depth, because of their versatility, especially between guys that are 6'2 to 6'9", they got the most of them in the NBA that can really play. So I'm going with the Clippers.
The Clippers are loaded, and this is going to be like an advanced, organized version of rec ball. They're disruptive defensively. They're the best team in the league at defending isolation plays. That's why the Clippers are my choice to make it to the NBA Finals out of the West.
I believe in my friend Doc Rivers. I believe he will figure out who that person is, even if they have to make a move. And so I'm gonna say the Clippers. That team defensively is gonna be great.
Great. I mean,
Great.
All time.
historic.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going with the Clippers. And what you said about the Clippers, who's going to organize them on the road, I have reservations about LeBron being a closer in his 17th year at 35. That's why I can't go with the Lakers.
When you look at the Clippers, top to bottom, coaching, starter, perimeter, superstars, their depth, I mean, this is where the Lakers fall off. If you remember on Christmas, they had a lead of 12, 13 points, and we thought the Lakers would run away. But then here come the Clippers, the bench. They just wear you down over the course of 48 minutes. And I just see in no scenario the Lakers beating them in the series.
Is it not more likely that the Lakers miss the playoffs than win a championship? I think that.
Wait,
I
this
feel
year?
that way right now. This year.
So the odds are better that they miss the playoffs than they win the championship.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, so now we're done listening to that nonsense. So back to the video of confidence versus arrogance. We're going to be talking about what these mean, what are the definition of these two, and 5 main differences in that I separate between confidence versus arrogance. Because as I said before, there is a very fine line, even though it can be very confused as such. So starting with confidence, confidence is basically a feeling of self-assurance that comes from an appreciation of your own abilities. Whereas arrogance is having an over-exaggerated sense of your own abilities. For example, I have the confidence of running a marathon because the amount of training I put into my long-distance running and building my endurance over the past 5 years. However, I'm not arrogant enough to walk in a room of bodybuilders and brag that I can bench 300 pounds when I weigh less than $150 in my skinny built frame. So for the references for this video, the Los Angeles Lakers will represent confidence and the Clippers will represent arrogance. Now, I never heard any of the TV analysts talk about the offense or leadership of this team. They completely overhyped them of their depth and their defense and acted like this was a championship team. Their coach was also known for blowing leads in the playoffs in all 3 decades, in the second Bush administration, the Obama administration, and the Trump administration. Look, let's be real. If you're a basketball coach who's known for blowing 3 leads in 3 different presidential administrations, and you're the only one in history to do so, you're not as great as advertised. And mind you, this team has never won anything. Like, I have as many NBA championships as the Clippers do, and I'm too small to even be in the league. Now, remember the guy who said this?
Clippers or Lakers?
Clippers.
Why?
Clippers. I think their pieces fit together a little bit better.
Now, how is that possible when this roster was oddly constructed of one-way players? What I mean by players who are great on defense but stink on offense, and players who are good on offense but are horrendously bad on defense. And speaking of defense, them signing perimeter defenders also sacrificed their rim protection, which also created another problem. See, when you have a team full of talented individuals, but who also have egos who don't play their roles, this is a recipe for disaster. Not to mention, the Clippers general manager were only signing players just to keep them away from the Lakers. And with all the crap the sports media talked about the Lakers, in reality, the Lakers had great leadership, structure, coaching, team chemistry, and they executed down the stretch. Not to mention, they had the best player in the NBA, and that is LeBron James. That's not conjecture, that is fact. And they had another top 5 player in Anthony Davis, right? When you watch the games, they were able to play what I would call big man bully ball or small ball lineups. Due to their roster construction, the Lakers are able to play in different ways, and this was evident throughout this playoffs. And when it came time for the Lakers to show their work, they showed that they were the best team and had the best record in the Western Conference. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, well, why did the Lakers win the championship but the Clippers didn't? Well, to me, the Clippers' main issue was their offensive philosophy. Their foundation on making difficult shots was due to their lack of playmaking. Therefore, they really had no easy or reliable way to generate offense. And what I mean by this is basically, if they hit their shots, they look like a great team. But when they start missing those shots, they look very bad and they start to blow leads. Now, we have all heard of the phrase, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. This reminds me of the 2018 Western Conference Finals when the Houston Rockets faced the Golden State Warriors and they missed 27 straight threes. Feel free to count all the bricks that I have in the video. But the reality is, when you do all this front running, you disrespect the process by low managing games. There's no lines of local leadership. Your best player who's on the team, who's won a championship, isn't the local leader. Your second best player always comes up short in the playoffs. Talking about how great of a team you are when you haven't showed your work. Players who would think they're better than what their stats or game shape shows, you become overrated. But see, when you're confident, overrated doesn't fit you because you don't have to over-exaggerate who you are. What I mean by, and what I do with confidence, the basis weight on how I describe confidence is knowing who you are, but most importantly, knowing what you're not. Now, I've already talked with the first difference of confidence versus arrogance. The second difference is the foundation. Now, what do I mean by that? The confidence is grounded in experience and expertise with respect and humility. But with arrogance, it's grounded in absolutely nothing. Their foundation is nothing. It's basically unwarranted, baseless confidence with also the lack of respect and humility. The third difference is confidence stems from positivity and optimism, whereas arrogant behavior is a result of the insecurities, right? Those who act confidently aren't concerned by other people's perception of them, right? Their confidence comes from within, so they don't feel this need to have constant affirmation, nor do they need to be the best at everything. But with arrogant people, they always feel the need to be above everybody else, which is why people like them typically go out of their way to put others down so they feel better about themselves. They act this way to seem superior in the minds of others, and they care about what people think of them. For example, if I'm at a networking event and my friend was talking about how her fitness journey is going well, she ran 4 miles today, right? And we're having this nice conversation, and then out of nowhere, I blurt out that I ran a marathon. Now, what did I do to the conversation? How did I add anything to the conversation? What does me running a marathon had to do anything with her running 4 miles? Going back to what I said with arrogant people, they will typically try to one-up you. They will typically try to one-up others So they feel superior. So again, they feel like they have achieved more than you. Again, with these people, they often fear criticism, and it's a result of their insecurities. Now, the fourth difference between arrogance and confident people is typically how they view blame. A confident person isn't afraid to admit when they're wrong, right? We all are aware of our own flaws. They're willing to correct and learn from mistakes from others. However, an arrogant person won't even do that. They won't even reluctantly own up to their mistake. They'll just push the blame on someone else than rather admit that they're flawed, which again, another red flag. And the fifth difference is arrogant people will try to act like your boss, whereas confident people will want to be a team leader or a player. Now, what do I mean by this? Confidence is taking lead when your skills and strengths match the requirements of whatever you're doing. That could be a project, that could be a business, that could be doing a job. But these types of people are also willing to accept help and suggestion from others. But with arrogant people, these people want to lead all the time. And regardless whether the person could be better for that role of whatever they're doing. Like I said, it could be a job or project. And they don't take anybody else's ideas on board. Either they don't, or they either take your ideas and take credit for them. They reject them. They can't stand criticism. And instead of acting upon their own ideas, they expect everyone else to do so and follow them unquestioningly. Because again, these people want to feel like they want to be their superior. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you can be confident like the Los Angeles Lakers, who's won 17 championships, or arrogant and overrated like the Clippers, who've won 0. Because there's a difference between being a championship team on paper versus being an actual championship team. See, wanting a championship and having a championship are two different realities. Wanting something signifies that you lack it, and having something signifies ownership. But see, it's funny when two groups of people who ultimately wanted the same end goal, but had different mentalities, therefore their work ethic was different, therefore how they did something was different, they have two different outcomes. So thank you guys for tuning into this video. I hope you found something insightful, and feel free to share this to others. I'll see you guys in the next video. Kendiel speaks out. Take it away, LeBron.
Rob wants his respect. Coach Vogel wants his respect. Our organization wants their respect. Laker Nation wants their respect. And I want my damn respect too.
Well, LeBron, I'm going to tell you, 4 Finals MVPs, your 4th title with 3 franchises, extremely